Good Sunday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for October the 29th. And today we are reading together in Second Chronicles chapter 7, which is going to give us some more details about the dedication ceremony that was carried out for the temple. And then we're also going to be told about Yahweh's response to what was to what happened, not just with the dedication and the ceremony, but specifically his response to Solomon's incredible prayer that was offered at the dedication ceremony. So let me get the text up on the screen for us here in Second Chronicles chapter 7. And we'll read along together here. Second Chronicles chapter 7 and verse number 1. When Solomon finished praying, fire descended from heaven and consumed the burnt offering and the sacrifices, and the glory of Yahweh filled the temple. The priests were not able to enter Yahweh's temple because the glory of Yahweh filled the temple of Yahweh. All the Israelites were watching when the fire descended and the glory of Yahweh came on the temple. They bowed on the pavement with their faces to the ground. They worshiped and praised Yahweh. For he is good, for his faithful love endures forever. The king and all the people were offering sacrifices in Yahweh's presence. King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 cattle and 120,000 sheep and goats. In this manner, the king and all the people dedicated God's temple. The priests and Levites were standing at their stations. The Levites had the musical instruments of Yahweh, which King David had made to give thanks to Yahweh, for his faithful love endures forever, when he offered praise with them. Across from the Levites, the priests were blowing trumpets, and all the people were standing. Since the bronze altar that Solomon had made could not accommodate the burnt offering, the grain offering, and the fat of the fellowship offerings, Solomon first consecrated the middle of the courtyard that was in front of Yahweh's temple, and then offered the burnt offerings and the fat of the fellowship offerings there. So Solomon and all Israel with him, a very great assembly from the entrance to Hamath to the brook of Egypt, observed the festival at that time for 7 days. On the 8th day, they held a solemn assembly for the dedication of the altar, lasting 7 days, and this festival 7 days. On the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people home, rejoicing and with happy hearts for the goodness Yahweh had done for David, for Solomon, and for his people Israel. So Solomon finished Yahweh's temple and the royal palace, everything that had entered Solomon's heart to do for Yahweh's temple and for his own palace succeeded. Then Yahweh appeared to Solomon at night and said to him, so this is the response to Solomon's prayer that he offered in chapter 6. Yahweh says, I have heard your prayer and have chosen this place for myself as a temple of sacrifice. If I shut the sky so there is no rain, or if I command the grasshopper to consume the land, or if I send pestilence on my people, and my people who bear my name humble themselves, pray and seek my face, and turn from their evil ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. My eyes will now be open and my ears attentive to prayer from this place. And I have now chosen and consecrated this temple so that my name may be there forever. My eyes and my heart will be there at all times. As for you, if you walk before me as your father David walked, doing everything I commanded you, and if you keep my statutes and ordinances, I will establish your royal throne as I promised your father David. You will never fail to have a man ruling in Israel. However, if you turn away and abandon my statutes and my commands I have set before you, and if you go and serve other gods and bow and worship to them, then I will uproot Israel from the soil that I gave them, and this temple that I sanctified for my name will banish from my presence. I will make it an object of scorn and ridicule among all the peoples. As for this temple, which was exalted, everyone who passes by will be appalled and will say, why did Yahweh do this to this land and this temple? Then they will say, because they abandoned Yahweh, God of their ancestors, who brought them out of the land of Egypt. They clung to other gods and bowed in worship to them and served them. Because of this, he brought all this ruin on them. Second Chronicles chapter 7. Again, we see more details concerning this incredible, I mean, just absolutely incredible dedication ceremony that took place. I actually have a pretty cool, let's see, a pretty cool image here that I'll share as quickly as I can. Let's see here. I think it's this one. Really, really neat image here. Let's see here. Again, it's not going to be super, super big, so I apologize for that, but it gives you a little indication of what this looked like here. You can see this is Solomon's temple, the exterior view looking west. So you have here, number one, right here on top, number one, you have the altar. This I mean, look how big that is. I mean, that is an absolutely massive, massive structure. You have the altar, number one here. You have the sea, or the big water basin right here with the oxen that are described underneath it. Number three, right here, you have the Boaz pillar. Number four, you have the Jachin pillar. Number five, you have the portable lavers for washing here. Number six, let's see, where's number six at? Number six, you have Solomon's bronze platform, which you can't see, but it'll be in this area right here. And then on the inside, you could see, it's probably might be a little difficult for you to see here on the screen. Now inside, let's see here, number seven would be this right here, which would be the incense altar. Number eight, you have the lampstands right here, or I believe it could be called menorahs, would be the modern term for it. Number nine, you have the various tables with the bread of the presence and such. And then number 10, you have over here the veils and the doors leading into the most holy place. So just looking again, and again, I know this is not, I don't think at all this is a perfect representation of what this looked like, but it sure does give us a pretty interesting, and I would say a pretty good description of what this place looked like. I mean, just you just see up on the walls all the various carvings that were into it. Again, just the ornate details. This is just, I mean, truly an incredible thing to see. And how awesome would it be to be able to see such a thing today and have the real representation of it. But nevertheless, we have this dedication ceremony, which again dedicates this incredible structure to Yahweh. And again, with all this, everybody is gathered together. But after all this takes place, we have something I meant to look up the reference. I don't recall off the top of my head where this was, but this same type of thing happened with the tabernacle previously, where Yahweh's temple came and filled the tabernacle, and people weren't able to come near it. That similar thing is happening here. I do believe here in this moment where Yahweh's presence comes and dwells within the temple. His glory is there, and all the people can do is bow down and worship to him, and they worship and praise him again with this incredible phrase, for he is good, that Yahweh is good, his faithful love endures forever. It is again just a wonderful mantra that speaks to the goodness and greatness of Yahweh. And again, this temple was a representation of his goodness and his greatness, the fact that he would allow his presence to be there among his people. And all this, they get together, they engage in a long, best I could tell, about a 3-week long celebration of worship, where there's a lot of singing going on. There's music worship that's taking place. There's an incredible number of sacrifices that are taking place, different type of offerings. There were burnt offerings, grain offerings, the fat of fellowship offerings. Because there's so much, then the one altar can't contain it. So the text says that Solomon consecrated the entirety of the courtyard in order to offer up all of these various sacrifices to Yahweh. And of course, whenever we talk about the fellowship offerings, we're talking about peace offering there, and that's the people get to eat together. So they're offering these various things to God that go to him, but then they get to come and they get to participate in this incredible feast of all these fellowship offerings. And this lasts for a period of about 3 weeks, best I could tell, if I'm adding up my days correctly here. And again, such a wonderful thing that after this takes place, the text says that he sent the people home. And this was the status of the people. They were rejoicing with happy hearts for the goodness Yahweh had done for David, for Solomon, and for his people. What was the goodness? Well, the goodness, I guess there's a number of aspects to it, but the goodness, if we could sum it up, was the fulfillment of his promise to David that his presence would be among the people. He promised David, your son will build me this temple. And it did happen. And now the greatest blessing that comes from it is the fact that God is present among his people. Again, that led them to rejoicing and happy hearts. Man, that should be our mindset as well. The fact that we are the beneficiaries of God's greater even promises to David, that he not only would build for him a temple, but that he would build for him an enduring temple of people through the promises that he made to David that were fulfilled in Jesus. And we get to experience that today. Again, we should be a people of rejoicing and happy hearts. But then we do have Yahweh's response to Solomon's prayer, very specifically, and basically verses 12 through 16, just affirm what Solomon has asked for. That yes, if there's sin or if there's pestilence, if there's issues, whatever the case might be, whatever the trouble might be, excuse me, if my people do cry out and call out to me, then I will hear them, because I will be in this place and I will bless them and help them through the difficulty that they're facing. And then he affirms the covenant promises. If you walk before me as your father David walked, doing everything I command you, keep my statutes, keep my ordinances, then I will establish a royal throne as I promised your father David, and you will never fail to have a man ruling in Israel. So if you do this, if you maintain covenant loyalty, there will be blessing. However, if, again, that big little word, if you turn away and abandon my statutes, my covenants that I've set before you, and if you go and serve other gods and bow and worship to them, then it's over. I will uproot Israel from the soil. I will make it an object of scorn. This temple I will allow to be decimated and abandoned. Again, the covenant curses here. So there's covenant blessings, yes, for obedience, but covenant curses for disobedience. And again, fortunately, we know the end of the story, and we know how they did not maintain covenant loyalty. And the threat, really, or I don't even know what I would call it. I guess it is a threat, yes, but it's really just a promise. You might have somebody say, is that a threat or a promise? Well, from God here, it's both. Don't do this or else. And that or else, unfortunately, did happen. And we'll continue to look at that as we trace the story through the Chronicles over the next couple weeks or so. But here again, we should appreciate so much Yahweh's response to Solomon's prayer and the reminder. You certainly cannot say that Solomon was not well aware of the tasks that lay before him. Again, if we've not read the previous historical accounts, we might be wondering, well, what's he going to do with it? Well, we'll see as we continue to move forward. If you have any questions or comments about this text here in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And I appreciate you taking some time to read along with me together here today on this fine Sunday. I hope that you'll be able to join us here for our Bible study and worship assembly here in just a little bit, as we gather for our Bible studies and as we worship together here in a little while. We'll be studying together from the end of Mark chapter 7, going through portions of Mark chapter 8, where we're going to talk about Jesus seeking to draw near those who were previously far away. I think there's some really beautiful stories that are mentioned here, some beautiful outcomes, and some really important lessons for us to take away as we consider this text together. Really looking forward to doing that with you here in just a little while. Hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. May God bless you in all that you do. And please make your plans to be back with me tomorrow as we read together from 2 Chronicles chapter 8. Take care and God bless.